Hi guys, and welcome back to another Hearts of Iron 4 short guide. Today we are taking a look at my favorite tank designs. Now, first of all, I don't usually make interwar medium tanks, and I usually skip on basic medium tanks as well. That is with Italy, however. If you start with a nation with a strong initial industry, say Germany, you can make decent basic medium tanks designs. So I will show you what kind of design I would go for if I had the availability for medium tanks early in the game. Early in the game, I would go for a close support gun. You could go for a light or for a medium 3-man turret. Then you would go for the best radio you have available. Early in the game, that's likely to be the basic radio or maybe an improved radio. Let's say you have an improved radio available. I wouldn't use any points or production on these 3 modules. This is your early tank. What you basically want is to have some tanks on the field and keep the production cost as low as possible. I wouldn't change anything here, except if you're struggling with reliability, you may want to go for torsion bar to increase your reliability. At this point, I would increase the armor to get over 40 armor in total. And then I would increase the engine to get to about 8 kilometers per hour. It may be something like this, or it's more likely to be something like this, slightly below 8. Again, these stats are affected by the doctrines, and early on in the game you will not have doctrines, so these numbers may be different for you. Just try to get to about 40 armor, about 8 kilometers per hour speed, and reliability should be as high as possible. Even going over 100 is not a waste, because you actually get many maluses when you're fighting in bad terrains, and that happens quite often. And when you're low on reliability and low on supplies, attrition will kill your tanks. Especially for expensive tanks later on in the game, you want the reliability to be good. Now, if I made this tank, I would probably call it my basic medium tank. Now, another thing I use my basic medium tank chassis for is the medium flame tank. As soon as I have that available, I like to make the flame support company, and to do that we'll make the cheapest possible design. So we go for the flamethrower in order to make a flame support company. We go for the cheapest 1-man turret. We leave everything the way it is, except for the engine. We need to have the engine buffed enough to match the speed of our main tanks, so usually around 8 kilometers per hour. Other than that, this tank is only used to make the support company and gives bonuses to the other tanks. It doesn't have to be good. One thing though that I sometimes forget is make sure you select this as a flame support company and don't leave this as a medium tank. Adding the flamethrower by itself is not going to change what type of tank it is. So make sure this is a support company. You don't need these tanks outside of the support company. Now, as you unlock your improved medium tanks, this is where I like to start making my serious tank designs. This is actually the first one that I made on my Italian playthrough, and I made it only around 1940, late 1940, so this is not an early game tank anymore. By that point, you will have access to some nice technologies. Especially important for this is the medium improved cannon, the improved medium cannon. This has very good stats overall, including breakthrough. At this point, you should also have access to the radio 3. You go for a medium 3-man turret to maximize the breakthrough. And then, since this tank is starting to be pretty decent in terms of stats, it's worth investing in extra armor. So you go for the sloped armor module to increase the overall armor, despite the increase in production cost. For the last two, you have a couple of choices here. In this case, I went for something cheap. As you can see, the production cost for armor skirts is only 0.5, but breakthrough and armor are nice bonuses. And then, since I was a bit low on reliability at the time, I decided to go for wet ammunition storage to increase the reliability by 15%. After doing so, and by the way, if you can do this instead of taking torsion bar, it is actually better. If you need both, go for both. But if you have to pick one, I prefer to go for wet ammunition storage rather than torsion bar. And it is because actually the interleaved road wheels give some nice breakthrough bonuses. I like my tanks to have high breakthrough, so I give them at this point the welded armor for an extra 40% armor. And then in terms of engine and armor, I tried to get over 100 armor. Yeah, at this point 7 will be enough, but at that point of the game I needed 8. And then as usual, you increase your engine to the point where it matches the 8 kilometers per hour target. So around 8 kilometers per hour is as always our target. Now when you start having access to advanced medium tanks, you can make an improved version of this design. It is very similar. In fact, you use the same cannon, the same turret, the same radio, and the same sloped armor. But at this point I could afford a higher production cost and my reliability was better. So I decided to go for the stabilizer instead of the extra reliability. I still go for the interleaved road wheels for increased breakthrough. And at this point I could afford to go for cast armor to increase the armor buffs by another 10%. And an extra 4, well, compared to this is an extra 2 defense and breakthrough. For engine and armor, at this point you always start with armor first. My goal was to get to 150 armor, and then I matched the speed with the engine as usual. Now this tank has very good stats. You can get it into the mid-late game, but 150 breakthrough, 150 armor, and a production cost that is still under control, 25. This is a very good tank design, maybe my favorite. Now when you get to the very late game, you gain access to modern tanks chassis. And this modern tanks chassis is better, of course, than the advanced medium tank. Now, for this final design, I did not pay attention anymore to the production cost. I could afford to get the insane production cost. This is almost twice as much as the previous one. So I just went for the best possible upgrades available at this point. Now I decided to switch our favorite medium tank, medium cannon for a heavy armament. So I went for the advanced heavy cannon. And my reasoning at this point was that late in the game I was about to fight the United States. I had to pierce through the armor of their tanks, so I wanted to have higher piercing. If you're not particularly interested in that, or if you're not fighting tanks, you can still go for the improved medium cannon, and actually this will provide you with higher breakthrough and soft attack. At this point you have access to the modern turret, which is the best. You always go for the same radio, you always go for sloped armor, and then here I just picked the 2 modules that gave me the higher buffs in breakthrough, so that was the autoloader and the stabilizer. Pretty high production cost, but high breakthrough as well. Nothing much changed here compared to our last design, so we go for the best type of armor, we go for the interleaved road wheels, and then we aimed to about 200 armor and match the speed as usual with our engine. Again, keep in mind that these numbers will be different for you depending on what doctrines you're going for. Always try to get the armor you want first and then match the speed you want, so 8 km per hour with your engine. Make sure your reliability doesn't fall too low. The higher, the better. That's about it, guys. These are my tank designs. I especially liked and enjoyed in my game the Panzer II. Make sure to check those videos, the Rome versus the World series, to see these designs in action. If you like this guide, please leave a like to the video. Feel free to comment with any questions, and if you enjoy this content, please subscribe to the channel. It would greatly help its growth. That being said, thank you for watching and see you next time.